All right, so after the first video, I decided to do a part two after seeing the response that the first video was getting. I'm not really into like part twos because I feel like it's a lot of pressure, with them part twos because, you gotta live up to that first classic that you dropped. It's like the Lauryn Hill album, it was such a masterpiece that it would nearly be impossible for her to try to recreate those moments, right? So that's why I try to stray away from doing like part twos. But, Carter 2 is my favorite album. Personally, I like Carter 2 better than the Carter 1 and the Carter 3. And yeah, so I guess I'm like Kobe, in the fourth quarter. I never really liked part 2. It's like having that first love and then y'all break up. And you remember having all those great memories, great moments with her. You cherished a lot of times being with her. Y'all sitting up on the phone until the early morning. Y'all was just so in love, or y'all was in lust. Y'all was young. But you was so in love with that person, bruh. And you just thought that that person was the one. You remember that first kiss. You remember them butterflies that you used to get when you go around that person. You ain't even want to pass gas around that person. Like you just would, tense up. And when you're around that person, like you so in love, like your first love, right? But then after a while, after you done been alone and you know what it's like and you know what you like, y'all not the same people that y'all was when y'all was younger. Y'all grown now. As a man, you like a peace of mind. You don't want nobody nagging you every 5 minutes. You could tolerate that when she was, when y'all was much younger, and her body was shaped like a Coke bottle. She had that fat booty. She had a fat butt. You could tolerate it. Now she done got old, 3, 4, 5 kids and overweight. Now you ain't about to put up with it. It's like, nah, but nah. And she be like, I want you to love me like you did when we first started talking. So in other words, it'll never be the same. So that part 2 will never be like part 1. You can't recreate that. And shout out to the female who commented on the part 1 on the first video. And she said something about, we need to understand the word infrastructure. I'm so happy that she's the only person in the world that knows the definition of infrastructure. If she was actually paying attention, she would have understood that I was being facetious. And the joke must have went way over her head. So we're going to continue the interview, and I'm going to get my thoughts.
Before I said fuck nigga, so you can't take that away from me.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. We respected 10 years on the bullshit.
I don't respect them 10 years. Why?
My response would have been, nigga, where was you 10 years ago? Where was you at 10 years ago when I was a struggling activist? When Charleston White literally had like 4 or 5 dreads hanging in his head? Where was you at 10 years ago when times was hard? Where you at when someone need me? Where you at that I take a picture like a classroom? Where was you at 10 years ago? Oh, yeah, you was in the neighborhood robbing people, selling drugs, destroying the community, not doing anything productive. I was fighting for people like you, to pass laws for people like you. You was committing crime. While you was committing crime, I'm in these city council meetings. I'm on the front lines. I'm laying the groundwork to try to fix a lot of the issues that's happening in our community. While 10 years ago, you was into a lifestyle of crime. So where was you at 10 years ago? Respect my hustle. Respect what I'm doing now. Obviously, I'm doing something right if it worked to this point. You would much rather have, your mentor, T.I. You look up to T.I., right? And this is what a lot of people don't speak about. Because I had the opportunity to go to the Trap Museum, the Trap Music Museum in Atlanta, right? And when I went there, I was shocked. I was astonished to see the things that I saw. I was so disgusted I was so disgusted and frustrated at the things that I saw. Like, I'm talking about, it hurt me when listen, bro, I used to work downtown and do security at the museums. I used to work inside an art exhibit, American History Museum. So to make mockery of black people, if you guys have not been to the Trap Music Museum and you don't take it as serious as I took it when I walked in there, if you ain't more disturbed by walking in that trap music museum as hurt and, as much as we pretend that slavery hurt us, like we try to carry that same hurt that our ancestors felt. We weren't taking those beatings. But when you walk in that trap music museum, and let me paint the picture for you guys who have never been to the Atlanta Trap Museum. When you go to the museum, it's a line outside the door that's wrapped around the block. Cars packed up. It's like you're trying to get into a club. It's $20 to get in, and it's $20 to jump the line. Me and my sister jumped the line, and we was excited about going. We got inside. As soon as you walk in there, there's a living room. And when you look at and do your research, when you walk in there, it's a living room area. It's a couch in there, 2 couches in there. You got 2 what they call mason jars. They got like 2 or 3 mason jars filled with weed, with a firearm sitting on the table. You look on the wall, you got pictures of all the celebrities who propagate and perpetuate the negative stereotype and romanticize this demonic, evil, sick, wicked stuff that they push on our community. Right? You got these people who promoting this stuff that's destroying our community, and we celebrating these people. We honoring these people. We commemorating these people. Right? You go into one room and you see bricks of cocaine. I'm talking about bricks on bricks on bricks on bricks of cocaine. They got Gucci Mane in there. Who the biggest trapper? Who started trap? They got all these people that's from the South. You had 8 Ball, MJG. They had Yo Gotti, I think, in there. It was a lot of rappers. They got a kitchen in there. They got the baking soda sitting on top of the table, or the baking soda sitting on top of the counter. The refrigerator is dirty. Pure mockery. And you got T.I. out here supposed to be this fake pro-black, but you pushing this type of message on the youth, on the black people. 10 years ago, where was you at 10 years ago? Where was y'all at? Tell me. I know what I was doing 10 years ago. You ain't respect me that much. T.I., who's a public figure and who is able to build a museum, you don't think he brushing shoulders and have relationships with these same people that I'm having conversation with, these mayors and these people that could change these laws? You don't think he talking to these people? So he should have crossed paths with me, whether that was Atlanta, whether that was Texas, no matter where it was at. Who was there to help me? Nobody. 10 years ago, I could have used y'all help 10 years ago. But y'all got to go to that Trap Music Museum. It's a disgrace to our people. I'm saying, when you look at, you got white people coming downtown. When I used to work downtown in D.C. doing security, you seeing white people come down there and looking at pure art. They're going down there taking their kids to see the animals. The animals, they're being educated. The National Spy Museum. The Air and Space Museum. The food, like $20-something. One little bologna and cheese sandwich, It's $20. I'm like, nigga, like you think I'm about to pay that? Like, no, like I bought lunch. Today I bought lunch, bro. Like, nah. In all seriousness though. But y'all got that trap museum, bro, it's disgusting. You go inside that trap museum, like I said, when you look at the counter, they got baking soda sitting on top of the counter. You're promoting this stuff. You pushing this stuff on the youth. You're encouraging it. Then you go into another room. They got T.I. and all of his firearms, all of his weapons, his assault rifles. Then you go to the back. It's like a jail area. And my sister she could tell like I was disturbed. She could tell I didn't want to be in there no more. She could tell. So it was a bed in there. It was like it was an actual jail cell with, rhyme books in there where you could write rhymes, and they got pictures of Meek Mill and all these rappers who glorify going to jail. You see, pictures hanging up, posters and stuff hanging up on the wall. You got little kids, you got people going in there taking pictures with their hand behind bars like they're in jail, posting it on Instagram. You got black people in there celebrating, dancing. It's not nothing to celebrate. This is pathetic. If that don't make your skin crawl when you go in there, y'all so busy worried about police brutality, and y'all not disturbed by that, that's a problem. Black on black crime is a bigger issue in our community. Black fathers not in the home is a huge issue in our community. Come on, bro. You talking about 10 years ago.
See, I think I was dumb and stupid like Dr. King. Dumb, stupid ass nigga.
So you don't think Dr. King
and I
did
was
that?
broke doing it too. Now
You
I'm
don't think
getting
Dr. King did
He
that?
was dumb and stupid.
You crazy in here.
Okay, well, let me...
So how much support do you have for Dr. King? It almost reminds me of that Boondocks episode when, when Dr. King woke up out of that coma and he came back and he seen the conditions that our community was in, right? If Dr. King came back now, how you think Dr. King would feel listening to women talking about something? I'm F-R-E-E-F, free. How you think Dr. King would feel about Hot Girl Summer? How you think Dr. King would feel about I'm smoking on this pack, I'm smoking on this person pack, I'm smoking on that person pack? How you think Dr. King would feel about women standing on top of cars and twerking? How you think Dr. King would feel about the conditions that we are in today? How you think he would feel walking into that trap museum, a city where Dr. King was born, a state where Dr. King was born? He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. This is where he from. So how you think that he would feel after going through the civil rights movement, you had police dogs attacking them, they putting the water hose on them? How you think Dr. King would feel going into that trap music museum after I just went into full detail of how it looked, of the presentation in it? How you think Dr. King would feel about that? Right? How do you think Dr. King would feel how we glorify ignorance? How you think Dr. King would feel that the women of today would much rather look forward to a gender reveal over walking down the aisle and being somebody's wife? How you think Dr. King would feel about that? How you think Dr. King would feel seeing women who care more about being on social media and Instagram than actually taking care of their children? How you think Dr. King would feel about that? How you think Dr. King would feel about black men more interested in being a baby daddy than in being a husband? How you think Dr. King would feel about black men leaving women to be single mothers and take care of these kids on their own. You think Dr. King would approve of that? You having multiple kids and you ain't taking care of none of your kids? You think Dr. King approved that? You think Dr. King would approve of the money bag yos, and you think Dr. King will really be at these concerts turned up singing Waukesha? Come on, bro. Like you think he really like the NBA young boys of the world? The stuff that they pushing in our communities. Lil Baby. You think he'd really be all for Lil Durk? Durky, oh, all in you. Dr. King, I love that Durky-o song. Smirky-o. Like, come on, bro. You think they'd be proud about how the way these young women dress? How these young dudes walk around with their pants sagging? Like, I'm not about to sit up here and act like I'm perfect and I'm a Dr. Umar. Like, cause I sin just like everybody else, bro. I'm far from perfect. But come on, man. Like, you really think Dr. King would really be for what's going on today? Absolutely not. Guns in the videos, drinking Hennessy. They call Dr. King a coon. How do your kids benefit from you being a civil rights leader? Other than they give you Dr. King Day to show appreciation for Dr. King, they gave us a trap music museum.
Bro,
let me ask you
this
this,
kid fighting over his Bible, man. This kid resent us. You must have heard his daughter.
You an entertainer, nigga. You an entertainer.
You leave it out. You must.
And you see how they kept emphasizing that he's an entertainer. They wanted to continue to keep reminding that, like, you just entertaining. Like, they basically like, oh, we respect Dr. King. We don't respect you. But to go to show that y'all respect Dr. King, look at the stuff that y'all support in our society. It's hypocritical. Because the very same things that y'all hate Charleston White for, y'all celebrate. These rappers could talk about killing each other, smoking on this person pack, but when Charleston White said, but he actually in the community, then what does that tell you? Who the ignorant person? And the truth of the matter is, y'all entertainers too. So it makes it even worse that at least I'm in these communities. I'm on the front lines. I'm actually putting in this work. I'm actually trying to change these laws. You just said that you wasn't informed. I can't just be an entertainer. But you just said, as I showed y'all in the previous video, DC Young Fly, you said that you wasn't informed on the law. It was all a setup from the jump. But I bet you weren't saying that back then. You probably was all for it. You was probably supporting it. That irks my nerves, bro. Like, it kills me how people switch up and change their stance or opinion just so they seem as if they knew all along. Just so they seem like they be right. All because you got an ego and you don't like being wrong. Like, he was probably one of the biggest supporters of the Sandra Bland Act. But now that Charleston White has schooled him and informed him of the particulars about how these laws and stuff work, which we really need to be educated on, now he's trying to argue with a man who clearly got more knowledge in that area. But bro, it's okay to be wrong. That's like, people who act like they didn't vote for Joe Biden or they didn't show support for Joe Biden, in an election race. They really rooted for him to win over Trump. Now that man's sending billions of dollars to other countries and taking grandpa naps mid-interview, now y'all want to act like y'all ain't support Biden. Same thing with Kanye West. Y'all was like, I don't like Kanye. He's an attention seeker. He's arrogant. I don't know why y'all wear them Yeezy shoes. They ugly. But now everybody rooting for Kanye against the so-called elites. Now y'all number one fans. Man, get out of here. Just like y'all going hard for George Floyd. You don't know the truth. We've been lied to about a lot of stuff.
Heard his daughter. And nigga, slavery ain't done me bad, nigga. So, nigga, what my grandmama and them went through ain't done a motherfucking thing to me. I don't give a fuck about what slaves went through, nigga. I ain't never been hit across the back for nothing.
You got to know your past and know where you're going.
I don't give a damn about my past.
How you know where you're going?
I care about today.
So how you know where you're going?
Nigga, I don't give a damn.
You don't even know the infrastructure that you're living in.
I don't give a man.
Once again, there you go again. You don't even know the infrastructure that you're living in. You don't even know the infrastructure that you're living in. What's worse, I don't know the conditions that the slaves were in, but it's not determining how my future will go. You know, because you so-called did the research and you're educated on slavery. So since you know so much about slavery, what's the difference between you knowing and me not knowing, and your future and my future, my path to the future and your path to the future? By you knowing and me not knowing, how does that knowledge help you for the future in comparison to me not knowing how that's going to stop me from where I'm going in the future? Explain that one. But you hear these guys, they pretend to be so pro-black and act like they so for the people and they down for the cause. You so hurt by slavery. But look at the stuff that we going through today. You know, they programmed us and they wired us to be emotional. That's why they could control us. They could use slavery to control us, to distract us with these agendas. It's all manipulation tactics. Because we forget. You see what we going through today? Like, what's worse, bro? Like, a white man beat me over the back, trying to kill me for trying to escape. Or somebody that's the same skin color as me that want to take my life. Because we got into a little petty argument. We arguing and fighting over a female that's getting passed around the block. She for the streets. Somebody that looked just like me, my own skin color. We arguing, we fighting and killing each other over a block that we don't even own. What's worse? What's worse? Y'all don't really care about slavery, bruh. You think they wake up every day and slavery cross their minds? No. If you really care about your people, if you really care about your ancestors, give all your money away. Just give it all up. Quit wilding out. Turn down any future movie roles. Don't do no commercials. Get off YouTube and go endure what your ancestors had to go through. Team up with T.I. and say, man, you know what? I want to live like the slaves. So I'm going to give all this up and I want to relive that. I want to go through what they went through. Team up with T.I. Call him up. And y'all get with a couple of his other billionaire buddies, his investors. Buy some land. Y'all get together and y'all buy some land and y'all recreate slavery. And give all your money away and go live in them same conditions that the slaves had to go through. Make a sacrifice. Give it all up. I bet you ain't going to do that because it's all cap. Y'all going to have a slave master. Y'all going to have the slave overseers that's riding around on the horses with the whips. Y'all going to be in chains. And give up all your money. If you care so much, just give up all your money, get with T.I., and y'all recreate slavery. I bet you they ain't going to do it. I bet you ain't going to be. Call this bluff. Somebody call this bluff. I bet you they ain't going to want to do that.
Heard his daughter. And nigga, slavery ain't done me bad, nigga. So, nigga, what my grandmama and them went through ain't done a motherfucking thing to me. I don't give a fuck about what slaves went through, nigga. I ain't never been hit across the back for nothing.
You got to know your past and know where you're going.
I don't give a damn about my past.
How you know where you're going?
I care about today.
So how you know where you're going?
Nigga, I don't give a damn.
You don't even know the infrastructure that you're living in.
I don't give a man.
Here he go. Here this nigga go again with the word infrastructure. He need to trademark that. He need to copyright that, bruh. He need to go to the patent office and get that trademark and put a K on it. He need to go in there and trademark that infrastructure. Like struck. Infrastructure. He need to make his own little seasoning, his own little sauce with a jar, with a label on it that say infrastructure. Boil me a pot of noodle, bro. Go on in there, boil me a pot of noodle, bro. And make sure you put a little bit of dab of that infrastructure. Sprinkle a little bit of the infrastructure on that. Sprinkle a little bit of infrastructure on them noodles. Any of y'all want something from Popeyes? Bring me a 2-piece back. Yeah, and give me a side of that infrastructure. Yeah, bro, I want a side of that infrastructure. I love the taste of that infrastructure. They ain't nothing like them people got that infrastructure. I ain't never had nothing like that infrastructure before. But we talking about slavery. If we look into our family history, we'll find somebody in our family that were slaves. But the sad thing about us getting so caught up in being slaves, we let it handicap us. We're brainwashed. It keeps us from progressing. So you could always have that worker's mindset and feel like you have to slave for the companies that you at. They did all this intentionally. It was all strategic, right? They want to keep you in that mind state to always think about slaves. That's why they don't want to tell you about the slaves who escaped and went on to become entrepreneurs. They want to hide that from you. I sent articles to my sister and my brother about these people who used to be former slaves, and they went on to become very successful entrepreneurs. They became inventors, black inventors. But they think it's all make-believe. They think it's made up. So you would rather believe these stories that these school systems have fabricated and lied to you about. But they want to keep you in that mindset because then it'll sink into your subconscious to try to break free in whatever you doing in life. Whether you at work, you slaving a 9-to-5 job, they don't want you to know that. Because then you might be the one, that black person that escaped that job and become an entrepreneur. You might escape that work plantation and go on to become an entrepreneur and take over that corporation. Because while you up early in the morning working hard, busting your tail, the man that owned the company that you work for, that corporation that you work for, he's somewhere asleep. He on a yacht. He ain't got to rush back to get to work in the morning. He ain't got to sign no time sheet. He ain't got to request no time off. He ain't got to regret and beat himself up about the fact that he called out today. Because he's tired. He's drained. He got a hangover. You got a hangover and you got it called out, but you so scared because you feel like you're supposed to be at work every day. Come on, bro. Like, that's how they want to handicap us. That's how they program us. They get to sleep in for the day. And guess what? They get to pass that business on to their children. And what you about to pass on to your kids? Nothing. People always got this saying where they be like, well, everybody can be an entrepreneur. You telling me that everybody can't be an entrepreneur or at least try to be an entrepreneur? But you telling me that everybody could go to work? Because for the most part, I'm seeing everybody go to work. You telling me we can't partner up? Bro, I used to live in LA. I used to work for the Dream Hotel. I used to do security. When I say they had multiple investors, multiple people had ownership, had stake in that company. One of the most successful, profitable hotels in Los Angeles currently. I was there before it was built up. I watched it get built. Multiple investors. We could all work together. We could all be entrepreneurs. But they don't want us to think like that. You telling me everybody ain't built to be an entrepreneur, but everybody built to work? And this is what I try to send my nephew from time to time. They always tell you about the hardships of slavery. They always tell you about the evils and the bad of slavery. They don't tell you that there were black slave owners. That's because they don't want you to know that. They want to be able to keep you emotionally attached.
Ain't no trash out there with them pigs, B.
No,
Ain't
rodents?
No,
That's
ain't no rodents out
You
there.
eat
man.
rats.
Nah, ain't no rodents.
Well, you don't know the
No.
wildlife like that.
Nah, you a
never
DC
stayed in the
nigga, man.
woods,
You ain't never
I'm
climbed
Atlanta
a tree,
nigga. I'm from the
man.
west side.
How you
He
get
from
this
Atlanta,
down the
I'm from
street?
DC.
Why you think call yourself DC?
I ain't gonna tell you, cause you gonna tell some damn body.
Damn, you gonna tell everybody. I'm DC. Yeah, I'm gonna tell everybody. Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell DC. I got more information about DC, your fight, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna tell
He's not from DC.
Yeah.
You might want to look into that.
And just look how he got his pants sagging. This man is so worried about the word infrastructure, but can't keep his pants pulled up. And he think that's cool. Like you see him in the video throwing up gang signs, but he's worried about slavery. Like I said, it's all a facade. They capping. They pretenders. They act like they really for the people, but they not. I ain't gonna tell you what DC really mean, because you're gonna really tell some damn body. The name of his group really mean the crew. Like, bro, you're walking around with a DC in the middle of your forehead that stand for the crew. You 30 years old and you still talking about the crew. If something happened to you, you know what the crew gonna do? They gonna go right over there to your girl. The crew gonna do you just like Jada younger girlfriend did. She gonna call up Fredo Bang. That's how the crew do you. And we get so caught up into slavery. We act as if we had to endure the pain that our ancestors went through. And I hate this whole notion of generational curses. I ain't cursed. I'm not even about to put that on me. Whatever my ancestors had to endure, I have to go through that. I don't want to go through. I don't want to experience that. Am I sad for them? Absolutely. Am I hurt about what my ancestors had to go through? Absolutely. And I'm not about to let that hold me back. You got people talking about something, they want to talk to their ancestors. I don't want to talk to them niggas. Love them. Appreciate you. But we ain't got nothing to talk about. I'm not talking to no dead people. I don't even want to talk to the niggas that's alive now. Why you think I want to talk to the dead people? You think I want to go through what my ancestors went through? I ain't cursed. To me, I think that the reason they normalize sayings like generational curses is because so it could make you not take accountability for the lack of things that you haven't accomplished. It make you feel better about yourself. Oh man, the reason I'm not winning, man. Generational curses is holding me back. Something goes wrong. Oh man, it's the generational curses. We been cursed, bro. Like, nah, I ain't been cursed. I'm perfectly fine. You know, God gave me breath to make it another day. So I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm gonna make the most of it. I ain't cursed. It's something that you can blame your failures on. Generational curses. I don't believe in that. I'm not cursed.